So today what we're going to do, we're going to work on shoulder mobility. So we're going to be focusing a lot on that. We're also going to be doing a movement for Turkish get-ups as well to kind of practice those, because I know we're doing them a lot in class and we'll be doing them when we can come back to the gym and the strength and conditioning as well. I'll give an alternate for that if anyone finds someone comfortable if your mobility is restricted, or if you kind of want another alternate for that. But what we're going to start with is we're actually going to lie on the ground into almost like a glute bridge position. We're going to do some spine segmentation, so we're going to work on that spine mobility. If you can't lie on your back, you can do the exact same movement but just in a cat-cow position. So if you don't find lying on your back comfortable, you can do it in a quadruped position. But we're going to all come onto the ground. What we're looking for here is full movement through the spine. So have the feet planted, try and keep your shoulders nice and relaxed. And then if you want to as well, it can kind of be useful if you place your two fingertips on top of your hip bones. We're going to think about tipping the tailbone forward, so create a little arch in our lower back, and then we're going to tip the tailbone back. So we're gently pushing our lower back into the ground. I'm squeezing my glutes now, and I'm thinking about peeling that spine up off the mat one by one. So again, if you're in a quadruped position, it's just the inverse of this. So just keep peeling, keep peeling. If you've done these before, you can reach your hand up towards the ceiling like this and just come up a little bit higher onto that thoracic spine. We're going to hold here for a second or two, and then we're going to start curling ourselves back down onto the mat. So really slow and controlled, inch by inch. And again, if you're in that cat-cow position, we're just reversing the movement starting from our tailbone. Lovely. So be really mindful and try and go slow, slow, slow as that lower back comes onto the ground. Again, fingertips can come onto the hip bone, so we tilt forward, creating that arch in our lower back. And then let's curl backwards, just gently pushing that lower back into the ground. Try and think about arching that spine as you lift the hips and the glutes up off the mat, rolling inch by inch up onto our spine. Again, you can reach those hands up towards the ceiling or the sky if you're outside. We're going to hold here for a second too. If you're in that cat-cow position, we're just in that cat. So we're rounding through the spine, and then let's all lower back down onto the mat or come into that cow position if you're doing cat-cows. So slowly lower that spine back down, inch by inch. Really notice if the spine goes down in a block. So we're trying to think about each section of our spine being a small segment. And then let's relax there. We're going to roll over onto our side, and we're going to go into some hip cars. So cars are controlled articular rotations, which basically means we're just taking a joint through its full range. So again, if it's not comfortable to lie on your side, you can also do these in quadruped. So it's up to you how that feels. In this position, knees are forward in kind of 90 degrees. We're going to create a gap in between our knees. So just about a kind of fist distance. I want you to place your hand on top of your hip. So we just notice that that hip's rolling back and rolling forward. What we're going to do here, keep the knee bent, push that leg back. So you guys are just going to follow along with me on this. So squeeze the glute and hamstring to try and almost imagine pushing that heel into the wall behind you. Making sure the lower back isn't arching. Then we're going to lift that leg up towards the ceiling. So we're working the side of the glutes here. We're going to externally rotate. So the knee goes up towards the ceiling. The ankle starts coming forward. I'm going to think about scooping that knee up towards my shoulder. So again, it's very similar to what we were doing last week in that quadruped position, just a slightly different angle. Try and use your hip flexors here to pull that knee up towards your chest. Bring it down in line with your chest. Lovely. And then let's come back in towards our starting position, and then we're going to reverse it. So knee comes up towards our chest, using the hip flexor. Make sure that lower back and tailbone doesn't tuck under. Let's lift the leg up towards the ceiling. So again, side of the glute. Internal rotation here. We're going to be doing this in our session. So drop the knee down, ankle up, and reach all the way back and around. Lovely. Squeeze the glute here. Kick in the hamstring. Make sure the core is tight and we're not arching through our lower back. We're going to do the same again, just a little bit faster this time. So the heel goes back, squeeze the glute and hamstring, lift the leg up towards the ceiling, knee up, ankle down, reach that knee up towards the shoulder, down in line with the hip, back to our starting position, and then let's reverse it. Knee up, lift the leg up towards the ceiling, drop the knee down, ankle up as we scoop that leg back into our kickback position, savage guys, and then coming back down. What we're going to do here, you've got two options. You can stay in this position, or if you want to go into a deeper pec stretch, lift yourself up, bring that bottom hand behind you with the palm facing down. And then you can just kind of stagger the legs, whatever's comfortable. We're going to be going into some shoulder cards here. So again, it's just kind of whatever's comfortable for you. You can also do these in quadruped. Top hand out in front. Let's lift that hand up and then bring the arm up so it's almost in line with our chin or cheek or our ear. Rotate the palm now so we're trying to think about rotating the arm from the bicep. So now my palm is facing up towards the ceiling as I bring that hand back and around, trying to keep my arm as straight as I can. It's almost like we're going into a swimmer stretch. Let's bend the elbow here, touch our lower back, drop the elbow forward, so let that shoulder roll forward, and then squeeze the shoulder back and down. Open up the front of the chest, straighten the arm, rotate the bicep and the palm up towards the ceiling, bring that hand back up and around. The gravity is going to be working a little bit different here, so I'll probably bring you deeper into that stretch. Bicep down towards the cheek again, and then down in front of that arm. Let's do that one more time. Lift up, reaching that hand up towards our cheek or our chin. Rotate the bicep and the palm up towards the ceiling. Keep internally rotating as we twist, twist, twist as we bring that hand back. Bend the elbow so the hand is in towards the lower back. Drop the elbow forward, so relax that shoulder. And then let's squeeze the shoulder back and down, open up the chest, straighten the arm. Palm and bicep open up towards the ceiling and then reach all the way back. Get a really deep stretch. Lovely. And then coming back down. Walk the hand in, push yourself back up again, just be mindful of that arm at the back, and then we're going to swap over onto the other side. So we're going to do the hip curls and then the shoulder curls on the other side. So again, knees out in front and 90 degrees. Try and make sure that that top hip stays stacked on top of the bottom hip, and then just lift the legs a little bit so there's about a fist distance in between the knees. Push that heel back, really squeeze the glute and hamstring here. So it's all about activating those muscles. We're going to lift that leg straight up towards the ceiling. Knee up towards the ceiling, ankle drops down. And let's bring that knee up towards our shoulder. We're using our hip flexor here. Knee down in line with our chest. Lovely. And then bring it back down to our starting position. Bring the knee back up towards the chest. Trying to create a fair bit of tension through the hip joint. Just trying to wake it up a little bit. Drop the knee down, ankle up. Internally rotating as we reach back and around. Lovely. Squeeze that glute and hamstring. And then lower back down. Super. In towards our starting position. And we're going to do the same again, just a little bit faster. So push that heel back, squeeze the glute and hamstring. Up towards the ceiling. Nice. Knee up. Ankle down. Bring that knee up towards the shoulder. Lovely. In towards the chest. And then back to our starting position. Let's reverse it. Knee up. Lift towards the ceiling. Internally rotates and knee goes down. Again, if you're new to these, you need to get more familiar. Kicking back into that glute kick back position, squeeze the glute and hamstring. And then let's come back. Lovely. Again, if you want to go into that deeper pec stretch, just lift yourself up, hand behind you, palm facing down. So you're getting a nice stretch into the front of the shoulder and into the pec muscle, which is your chest. And then the top hand comes out in front again. Let's lift up. We're going to try and open up the shoulder. So again, you can do these in a quadruped position, in a kneeling position, standing, whichever is more comfortable for you. But just reach that hand back and behind. Lovely. Arms straight. And then let's bend the elbow, bring the fingertips in towards the lower back. Let the elbow and the shoulder roll forward. And then squeeze the shoulder blade back and down. Open up the chest, arms straight, and then reach up and over again. Lovely. If you're like me, get a few cracks along the way. And then hands down in front of the face again. One more time, lifting up. Try and bring that bicep towards the cheek, maybe towards the ear. Let's open the bicep up towards the ceiling and reach back and around. Lovely. Nice, so hopefully the second round is a little bit smoother. Bend that elbow in towards the lower back, elbow and shoulder drop forward, and then squeeze the shoulder blade back and down. Let's open up the shoulder. Straighten the arm, rotate the bicep up towards the ceiling. So we're just trying to imagine that that arm is rotating in that shoulder socket, and then try and get the bicep back down towards the cheek, the chin, and out in front. Lovely stuff. Again, bring that hand in towards your chest, roll forward, push yourself back up. And what we're going to do now is come into a kneeling position, and we're going to do some wrist work. So wrist mobility is really important if you're doing push-ups and if you're doing kind of any overhead work as well. What we're going to do, bring the hands out in front and bring the fingertips up towards the ceiling. We're just going to make a couple of circles with this. So fingertips down towards the mat. We're trying to keep our forearms pointing up towards the ceiling the whole time. Fingertips point back up, and then let's bring them in and around. Lovely. So a couple of rounds on this, fingertips out, and then fingertips back up, and then fingertips in, down, out, and around. If you need to, you can do this on an elevated surface, but if it's comfortable, stay on the mat. What we're going to do is place the palms face down onto the mat, fingers forward, and we're going to try and bring our shoulders over our wrists and our fingers as far as we comfortably can. So for some of us, it's going to be here. For some of us, we're going to be able to get a little bit further. If you are getting quite far, just bring those knees in so you're supported, because we're going to stay here for a couple of seconds. Well, I say seconds, more like minutes. And so basically what we're doing here is we're bringing that wrist into its end range, and then we're going to try and strengthen it up. So I'm going to get you to push the fingertips and the balls of your hands down into the mat as if you're trying to indent those fingers into the mat. So you're almost trying to scoop the ground away. Keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. And then without changing the angle of your body, dig the heel of your hand down and try and lift those fingertips up towards your forearm. So you're going to really feel those muscles kick in along the forearm. Fingers might be a bit twitchy, that's totally fine. Keep pulling up. And then relax. See if you go a little bit deeper into the stretch. Don't worry if you can't. Push the fingertips down again. Push, 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 push. Nice, guys. Keep pushing. Try and keep the arms straight, so make sure the elbows don't bend. We often compensate through the elbows. And then let's dig the heel of the hand down. Pull those fingertips up again, really strengthening the muscles of our forearms. So again, we're trying to get strong in this range. So we might be flexible, but to be mobile, we want to get strong. Keep pulling those fingertips up, up, up. Slightly relax. Inch your knees back. Keep the arms straight. Kick in the fingertips again. So we're going to try and pull those fingertips up towards our forearm, and we're going to lean back. And you can see I'm trying to keep that angle between the wrists, the hands, and my ground. Lovely. So lean back. Keep trying to pull those fingertips up. Hopefully for most of us, we're getting a little bit of space between the ground. And now we're going to lift those hands up in front of us. Try and keep pulling those fingertips back. So for me, my left hand, much easier than my right hand. Keep holding. If you're doing it right, you'll be sweating a little bit. Now, let's try and go overhead. Again, for some of us, overhead is going to be here. For others, it's going to be up overhead. Keep trying to pull those fingertips back in whatever position you're in. Keep the core tight, so don't arch through that lower back. And then we're going to go into some barrel monkeys. So I'm just going to move this way so you guys can all see. Bring your right hand in behind your lower back. Try and keep those fingers flexed. I know it's hard. And then out to the side. Keep the fingertips pointing up towards the ceiling. Let's bring the right hand overhead, left hand behind your back. Lovely. Out to the side again. Just going to do one more on each side. Lovely. So we're really just trying to work those forearms the whole time through this. It's quite active. Fingertips up. Lovely. Last time onto the other side. And then relax. You can shake out the wrists. You can go into what's called the wrist release. So back of the hands together, elbows down. Lovely. Just get a nice stretch. So again, if you notice one hand was harder than the other, that just lets you know that maybe your right side or your left side just needs a little bit more work than the other. What we're going to do now is come up to stand at the top of our mat. And we're going to go into a little bit of flow. So again, this is follow along. I'll just talk through the whole flow and you guys will do it with me. I know you can't see my upper body, but we're just going to reach those hands up overhead. If it's comfortable, you can interlace the fingers, otherwise just point the fingers up towards the ceiling. And then let's lean out towards the left hand side. So you're going to get a nice big stretch along the right side of the rib cage. Come back in towards the center and then reach over towards the right hand side. So from a front on position, it's like this. Lovely. And then coming back in towards the center, we're all going to fold forward from the hips. You can bend the knees if you need to. Try and get the hands down towards the mat. So again, if you need to bend the knees, that's totally fine. What we're going to do is step back with our right foot, step back with our left foot, and then what we're going to do are planche rocks. So try and grip the ground with your mat, lift up through the lower abdomen. If you need to do these on your knees, and let's rock forward slightly onto our tippy toes, and then rock back, push the heels to the wall behind us. Rock forward, and then rock back, Again, if you need to keep your knees down on the ground for this, you can rock forward and then rock back. We're going to do this one more time. Rock forward, rock back, push back into a downward dog. Just hang in here for a second or two. And then what we're going to do is start walking those feet up towards the top of the mat. Bring your feet out to the outside of the mat if you can. We're going to go into a cook squat. So get the stretch on the hamstrings and then come down into whatever deep squat is for you. So again, if you need to be holding onto a chair in front of you, that's fine. If you need to have your elbows on your knees, that's fine. Optional. Higher for this, it's fine. Hands up, reach behind the head again, keep the core tight. Hands behind the lower back. And then let's drop the head forward, push the hips up towards the ceiling, and just bring the hands back down towards the mat. Just relax here for a second or two. You can pedal out the legs, bend the knees slightly. Lovely. Again, bend the knees a little bit if you need to get the hands flat on the mat. We're going to step back with the left foot this time. And we're going to do the same again. Right foot back, core tight, rock forward if you can, coming onto your tippy toes. And then push back, heels back to the wall behind you. Lovely. So try and keep the hips low. We're not necessarily going into a downward dog. Forward and then back. If you need to, stay on your mat with your knees down. Forward and then back. Let's push back into a downward dog this time. Walking the feet up towards the top of the mat again. If you can, bring the feet out to the outside of the mat. And we're going to go back into a cup squat again. So down into a deep squat, whatever that is for us. Now what we're going to do, thumbs pointing up towards the ceiling. Try and bring your chest up. One hand up overhead, other hand up overhead. Slow and controlled, let's lift up, just an inch. Up again, just an inch. Up again, breathing steady. Up again, and then stand, shaking the legs and bring those hands down. Nice work. We're going to fold forward again. Getting a nice big stretch. And then we're going to inch round the feet back behind us. Lovely, stepping back, stepping back, stepping back. What we're going to do now, come into a beast position. So we're bending the knees, walk those hands back. So we're in a beast or a bear position. We're going to do a little bit of a pulse raiser. I'm just going to show you the exercise super quickly. We're going to push the hips up towards the ceiling and back down. For the next one, we're going to do a style Turkish get-up and a front kick through. If you can't do that, we're going to go into a reverse Nordic. So if anyone can't do what I'm doing on the mat, I just want you to do these instead, working the quads until we all come back into our variation. If you can't do these, we're into shoulder taps like this, either knees on the ground or knees hovering off. So if everyone wants to join me, we're in our beast or bear position. If you want to give it a go, I'm going to curl the toes under. Push the hips up towards the ceiling and try and get the head in between the biceps. Come back down. Lovely, push the hips back up. Nice, come back down. Again, doing bear shoulder taps if you can't do this. We're going to do one more on these. Knees down, then push the hips back up. Come back down, slide the hands forward, bring the hips back. We're going to go left leg front step. So step your left leg forward. Shimmy your right hand out. We're going to try and bring this right leg through our arms. Yeah, exactly. So we're almost threading that needle. If you need to rotate the palm out, we're going to push the hips up like we're in that Turkish get-up and reach the hand up towards the ceiling. So keep that right leg straight. Lovely, come back down. Try and keep your left heel onto the ground. Hips up, reach. Nice, again, just working as far as you can. Lovely, come back down. Reach up. And then come back down. One more time, reach up, come back down. Now, push the ground away with your hand and your foot. Try and thread that foot back through. Lovely. And we're back down. Hands onto the mat. Push back, walk the hands back into our beast position. And let's do that again. Up and down. Lovely. Up and down. Remember, into shoulder taps. If this is proving too difficult, or if you're just not feeling it today, I'm going to do one more time. Push the hips up. Hold for a second or two. Really push the ground away. Close the gap between the shoulders and the ears. And then come back down. Now, push back into that loaded beast position. Hands forward. Let's step forward with our right leg. Bring the left hand out if you need a bit more space. Push the ground away. Let's thread that left leg through the gap. Lovely. Plant that heel, hand. Let's push the hips up and reach. So imagine we're doing that Turkish get-up. Come back down, hips up, lovely, and come back down. Remember, reverse Nordics if you can't do these. Savage. Reach up, back down. Now push the ground away. Make sure your toes are pointing forward again. Push, step back, hands down towards the mat. And then we're all going to sink back into a child's pose. Rest the head down onto the ground and just take a breath or two. Walk the hands a little bit forward. And we're going to come into a slight puppy pose. So up onto our fingertips, forehead resting on the ground. We did these last week. And I just want you to squeeze the shoulder blades and then drop the shoulder blades down. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and then drop the shoulder blades down. Squeeze. And just work on taking slow, controlled breaths during this. You can always go into a child's pose as well if this is uncomfortable. Just keep trying to open up those shoulders bit by bit. Now let's bring the palms of our hands down to the mat, curl the toes under. We're going to go into a waving load. You can keep the knees down for this if you need to. But otherwise, we're going to push the hips up towards the ceiling, like we're in a downward dog, and then bring ourselves forward, but try and curl through that spine. So rounding through that spine as we pull ourselves forward. Drop the hips down towards the mat, chest up, chin up. Optional twist here if you want to do it. So drop the right shoulder down, look over towards your right heel. And then drop the left shoulder down and look over towards your left heel. Back in towards the center, and then we're all going to lower ourselves down towards the ground. Now, I'm just going to spend a little bit of time explaining this. I know it's a break the flow a tiny bit, but just we have some new people. We're going to do some push and pulls. So same like what we did with the wrists. For this position, we're into external rotation. What that means is head is down, elbow out to the side at 90 degrees. I'm going to have a pillow here. I'm going to push my hand down when I say push, and I'm going to try to lift that hand up off the pillow when I say pull. If it's not comfortable to lie down, do it in a door jam. So imagine this is the door, and I'm going to try and push and pull like that. So if everyone gets their pillows, we'll do this together. Nice. So lying face down, right arm out to the side. Trying, if we can, to have that arm at 90 degrees. Face down and just relax into that stretch for a minute or two. So again, we're taking that hand into, or the arm I should say, into internal rotation and then external rotation. So we're trying to ramp it up. We're going to start pushing that hand down into the pillow. So we're trying to indent that hand into the pillow for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, dig the elbow down and try and work the muscles at the back of the shoulder to lift that hand up off the pillow. So it's like we're doing a Cuban rotation. Lovely. Try and peel that hand up, 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 hold. We're going to push down again into that pillow or into the wall if we're in a standing variation. Push, 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 push. So we're trying to work internal rotation here. The rest of our body is really nice and tense. So not just hanging out, it's very active. And then squeeze the shoulder blade, come back. Lovely. And then back down, push, 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 push into that pillow. We're going to do this one more time, coming into that external rotation. So let's lift that hand up off the pillow and hold for 10, 9, 7, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Optional movement here, lift that elbow up, try and push that hand up overhead, and we're going to go back into that shoulder card. So rotate almost in a swimmer position, hand comes into the lower back as we reach back and around. Drop that elbow down. Again, you can do the standing, squeeze the shoulder blade back, and reaching that hand up and around to our starting position. Let's lift up and move the pillow out towards the other side. And then lie back down. I'm just going to show you from a kneeling position for anyone who is doing that standing position. So imagine I'm lying down or I'm against that wall. Lovely, yeah, so just keep relaxing into it. We're just going to do the other side now. So let's push that hand down into the pillow, nice and strong. So you can keep staying lying down if you are doing the lying down variation. Push, push, push. And then squeeze the shoulder blade and try and peel that hand back off the pillow or back off the wall. Lovely. Hold. And then push down again, nice and strong, into that wall or into that pillow. Lovely, guys. So you should feel the front of the shoulder working a little bit here. Lovely. Now squeeze the back of the shoulder, dig the elbow down and try and peel that hand up off the wall or the pillow. So we're trying to go further into external rotation. We're going to do this one more time. Pushing down into the wall again, almost like you're trying to indent the pillow or indent the wall. Kicking in the front of the shoulder. Savage. And then squeeze the back of the shoulder, try and peel the hand up, and we're trying to hold for 10, 9, 6, 10 seconds seems long when you're counting it. 3, 2, 1. Optional shoulder move. Lift that elbow up off the ground or the wall. Let's push hand up towards the ceiling or the wall in front of us, and then rotate back and around into that swimmer stretch. Lovely. Bringing the fingertips into the lower back, drop the shoulder down towards the ground. So just like we did in our warm up, squeeze the shoulder blade back, straighten that arm, reach it up and around. Lovely. And then bring the hand back down towards the mat. What we're going to do here, if you are on the mat, hands underneath the shoulders, and we're going to push back up into that upward dog again and reverse the wave unload. Tuck the chin, round through that spine, and let's come back into our loaded beast position. We're going to go into some quad work now. So you can stay standing into our loaded beast position. And what we're going to do is step our left leg forward. Now, you probably need a pillow in underneath that back knee. And what we're going to try and do, keeping the core tight, bring our torso up, and let's come into a quad stretch. Now, this might be too intense for some people. So if you want to do a sideline variation or a standing variation, that's totally fine. We're going to do the exact same principle, but just working on our quad. What I want you to do, push that right foot down into your right hand. So you're almost trying to straighten that leg. So again, you can have your other hand out in front for a bit of counterbalance or onto your knee, or if you need to come into a standing one, that's totally fine. Now, try and relax that, squeeze the glute and hamstring. And you're trying to pull, not using your hand, but pull with your glute and hamstring, the foot in towards your glute. Straight away, my hamstring's cramping already. It's been a while. Let's push the hand back down into the foot back into the hand, excuse me, for 5, 3, 2, and 1. Squeeze the glute and hamstring, trying to lift that foot out of the hand, bringing the heel closer towards the glute. Savage. Okay, last time, push that foot down. As you imagine, there's going to be a hold, so if you get a hamstring cramp, try and ride through it. If you need to, just come out of it and shake. So let's try and squeeze the glute and hamstring, lift the hand away, and let's try and hold the foot here. So you're really going to feel that in the hamstring. Make sure we're not arching through the lower back. Keep holding. Keep holding. Lovely, guys. Keep holding. Savage. Yeah, really good. And then let's lower that leg back down. We're going to bring the hands back down towards the mat, push back up into a downward dog. If you're in a standing position, you can just go into a slight forward fold, get a bit of a stretch on the back of the legs, pedal the feet, and then we're going to go over onto the other side. So stepping that right foot forward, left knee down towards the ground. Again, coming up into that half kneeling position. Make sure you're squeezing the left glute, and let's take hold of that foot. Again, if you need to go into a sideline variation or a standing one. Just get a bit of a quad stretch first. Get that breath back, and then we're going to start doing some push and pulls. So, kicking that foot into the hand. You can see me there. So we're really kicking in that quad muscle. It's going to pull us into quite a deep stretch. For 5 seconds. And then squeeze the glute and hamstring. I'm not using my hand here. I'm using the strength of my hamstring to try and pull that heel in towards my glute. Lovely. Same again, push the foot into the hand, kicking in the quad. If you want to go a little bit deeper, what you can almost think about doing is trying to scoop that knee forward. So you're almost kind of tilting that pelvis under. Obviously depends on what level you're at and how tight your quads are. So just don't push through anything too much. Now squeeze the glute and hamstring again. Try and pull that heel in towards your glute. Savage, guys. Last time, push the foot into the hand. If you want to try that little pelvic scoop, Just try and slide that knee up along the mat. It's not going to move, but that's what you're trying to do. Lovely. And then let's go into that hold. Squeeze the glute and hamstring, pull the heel in towards the glute. Try and take the hand away and see if that leg stays in the same position. Think I'm going to cramp. Keep holding. Try and breathe through it if you feel like you are going to cramp. Nice. 3, 2, 1. And then let's lower that leg back down. Bring the hands back down towards the mat. If you were standing and you're comfortable in a downward dog, we'll all go into a downward dog, or you can just go into a forward fold. Push the heels or the hips back up, heels down. Pedalate the feet. And what we're going to do is come into a scorpion reach. So you're going to shift your weight forward. Your right knee is going to come in towards your left forearm. Push the hips back and reach up and around. Nice. We're going to bring that leg back in towards our forearm and onto the other side. Push back into a loaded beast. Left leg in towards right forearm. Push back into that scorpion reach. So you're trying to open up the hip and the knee out towards the side. And then we're going to bring that left leg in underneath into a pigeon pose. We're going to come into a 1990 position here. So again, if you need to have the hips bolstered up, please do. So sitting up nice and tall. So same principle now that we're going to do with our back leg. We're going to work on some internal, external rotation. A lot of people don't train this. Very important if you do any sort of squatting, Cossack squats, anything like that. Sitting up nice and tall, you can hold onto the front foot for a little bit of counterbalance. If you're used to this, you want to make it a little bit more challenging, hands out in front. What we're going to do is try and dig the knee down and lift that ankle up. It may not move, that's fine. Hold, 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 foot down. Again, try and keep that chest forward. Try and lift that knee up off the ground. Again, don't worry if it doesn't move. If you can't get this hip, it looks like everyone is able to get that hip down onto the ground. Just make sure it's propped up with pillows. Lovely. Same again, knee down, ankle up. Ooh. So get a cramp on the side of the glute. You can thank FRC, this is all their stuff. Foot down, knee up. Lovely. Try and hold here. And then knee down, ankle up. Last time, I want to work this internal rotation for a little bit longer. So we're going to hold this for 10 seconds. Again, you can hold on for a little bit of counterbalance or be out to the side if you need to, otherwise torso up. And then foot down. We're going to do a little bit of shoulder work here. So hands out to the side. We're into a prisoner stretch in this position. So we're going to use our glutes and our hips and core to stay upright. And then hands into that lower back. Lovely. Squeeze the shoulder blades. Keep that tension on the shoulder blades. Reach up and over into that prisoner stretch again. And then if it's comfortable, you can also lean forward a little bit into a little bit of a glute stretch on that front leg. And coming back up out of it, hands down. We're going to come back onto the mat and do the same on the other side. Walk that heel back if you can. Curl the toes under. Hands onto the mat and let's push back into that downward dog again. Nice. Okay, so we're going to go left leg scorpion reach. So left knee comes in towards right forearm and push back. Try and open up the hips. Lovely. Come back the way we came. So knee in towards forearm. Push back into a loaded beast position and lay a right leg. Bring that right knee towards left forearm. Scoop back and around. Try and open up those hips. You're up onto the tippy toes of that left foot. And then let's bring that leg back in underneath, drop the hip down, and we're into that 90-90 position again. So again, if you feel like you're really falling out to the side here, just prop yourself up with the hand or pillows. Or if you have any niggles through the knee, just make sure you're elevated a little bit. Make sure that that knee is in line with your hip. I'm just going to turn around so you guys can see it from this point of view. I'm going to do the same again. If it's comfortable, bring the hands out in front. It's going to work your hip a little bit more. Let's dig the knee down. Knee down, ankle up. Lovely. And then ankle down, knee up. Trying to keep the torso forwards. We're not trying to open the hip this way. We're trying to work that external rotation and work the glutes. Lovely. Knee down, ankle up. Again, notice if there's a difference between the two sides. There could well be. Foot down, knee up again. Squeeze the glutes. Breathe deep. As always, if you need to hold on to the front foot or lean out towards the side, you're more than welcome to. Knee down, ankle up. Last time, and let's try and hold. Hold, hold. So really try and feel that in the glute. Imagine your thigh bone is rotating. Lovely. Nice, and then coming down. Let's reach the hands up and over again. This is optional if you want to work a bit more on the shoulder mobility. Hands behind the lower back. Squeeze the shoulder blades. And then reach up and out to the sides, overhead again. And then you can lean forward. Almost imagine that chest bone is coming forward to get a bit of a deeper stretch into that glute of the bottom leg. And then we're all going to bring our hands down towards the mat, push back into a downward dog. And then I'd say for everyone, it's going to be more comfortable if you come into a quadruped position sideways onto your mat. What we're going to do is just a little bit more hip work and get a bit of a stretch through the side. So bring your left leg out to the side, toes pointing forward. And then what we're going to try and do, this might not be possible for all of us, is try and rotate. So we're trying to lift that foot up, and again, I'm trying to rotate through my thigh here to get those toes pointing up towards the ceiling. We're just going to do a couple of reps on this and then go into a nice side stretch. So basically this class is just reintroducing everyone or anyone who's new to the kind of concept of the FRCs, and then what we do is we just put that into a bit of a flow in the other classes. So it's that work that helps us get stronger for, say, our overhead mobility or our squat. Coming up into the tall kneeling position, hand goes down towards the mat, and then reach up and over, get a nice big stretch inside. If it's comfortable, you can flatten the hand. And then if you want as well, you can even lift that leg up to work the glutes a little bit more. So it depends on if you want to strengthen or if you want to stretch. Lovely, try and elongate if you are, whichever position you're in, reach the fingertips away. And then coming back down onto the mat. Hands forward, let's change over onto the other side. Leg out. Try and keep the back flat, and then let's rotate so that the toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. So again, we're working that hip. So rotate. It's that leg bone that's rotating in the hip socket. Some of us might not be able to actually get that foot moving, that's okay. But just try and build that mind muscle connection. We're going to do a couple more reps on this and then come into the stretch on the other side. Lovely. Foot down, come up into that half kneeling position, left hand down towards the mat, and then reach up and over into that stretch. Again, you can be up onto your fingertips if you need to elevate onto that pillow or onto a block, that's totally fine. And then if you want, you can come over and try and lift that leg up and reach. So you're squeezing this muscle at the side of your glute to lift that leg up high and reach the hand away. Bring the foot back down towards the mat, coming back in towards the center. We're going to come into a kneeling or a seated position. And we're just going to do a little bit of a shoulder stretch, just to start cooling down. So interlace left elbow over the right elbow. And if you can, try and get those palms touching. Not everyone's going to be able to, so you can put the back of the hands together. But if you can, palms of the hands together. Breathing in and breathing out. If you want to go deeper into the stretch, just round through the upper back, spread the shoulder blades and try and lift those elbows up in front of your face. Nice. If you want to do a little bit of spine work on this as well, you can bring the chest forward and reach up and then curl through that back again. Chest forward, reach up, and then round through that back again. We're going to bring the hands out to the side, release that, and just swap over. So now it's left elbow under, right elbow on top, and then either back the hands together, or if you can, get your palms. Lovely. Going a little bit deeper then. Spread the shoulder blades apart and trying to lift the elbows up. You want to do a bit of spine work with this as well. Just roll that chest forward, lift the chin up, and then roll back. Chest forward and up, and then roll back. And then just for a final stretch, what we're going to do is come into that bind behind our back. If you need to just hold on to your back of your t-shirt, or even hold a tea towel or a strap if you have it. So with this as well, we're trying not to flow through the back. So all of this is just to train our shoulders and our thoracic spine to kind of feel comfortable in this position without having to use a lower back to compensate. Try and breathe through it. And then release that, reach up and out to the side, and then we're going to bring the other hand overhead. Again, you may notice one side is easier than the other. If you are using a strap or you're using your t-shirt, just try and see if you can inch those hands a little bit closer towards each other. We're going to release that, reach out to the side, and then we're all going to come down into a child's pose. So you can either have the knees out towards the side or the knees underneath your hips, whichever is comfortable, and just sink the hips down, rest that forehead down onto the ground. You can be up onto your fingertips or just letting those elbows relax down onto the mat, whichever is most comfortable. And just for the last minute or two, focus on taking slow, deep breaths. Just see if you can extend that inhale and then extend that exhale. Just make sure your jaw is relaxed, your face is relaxed. Taking one more deep inhale, breathing in. And then breathing out, walking those hands back up. And we're done.